All right, we're back. We're live. Tapping Birdie with my good friend Drew, 2018 Millie Maker, scratch golfer, very good golfer. I'm hoping you can help me out with your game. How you doing tonight, Drew? Great to see you.
Yeah, good man. Thanks for having me on, Brian. I appreciate it. Shitty week last week for golf and purposes, I guess, for me. But looking forward to this week. Kind of a home event for me.
So how was your players? Did you not get
No,
the side ride, or what happened?
No, it actually wasn't bad. I had a decent sweat on Monday, I guess. I was up probably 6. I was winning like one smaller GPP for like 6K. And then I think I had Rom on Sunday in the afternoon, and he took his, and then JT took a triple. Rom took a triple, or a double, and ended up winning like 1,500 instead of 6K. So it could have been better, but it honestly could have been worse the way things shook out. So I had Hideki in my larger dollar stuff, and it obviously didn't work out. But then I was thankful because Xander missed the cut because he got the shitty draw. So those lineups were dead anyways, essentially. I would have still liked to see if Hideki would have played 36 holes. Maybe I could have bubbled. But, yeah, it wasn't bad. From a betting side, I'm more of a DFS player. But from the betting side, I didn't have Cam Smith. It was very obvious after the fact. It's one of those weeks where it's like, yeah, I mean, one of the best players in the world won, Cameron Smith. That makes sense. But you didn't think about that on Thursday, at least for me. I was thinking more of, Xander and guys – I think from a DFS perspective, so 9K and up, and then Cameron's just sitting there doing nothing. Missed him.
Yeah, no, the first thing about the DFS week, it was like the quintessential DFS week. We have an early withdraw that no one could do anything about, and then you have like a really bad wave advantage, and then you have a super delay, which is a very quintessential DFS week, like very standard. Can't have anything different for the players. And then Cam Smith, like, I bet outrights every week, like always analyzing who's on them and everything like that. Should I have been on him? And I was really upset last night about not being on Cam Smith because I hit Cam Smith at TOC. I bet him a lot before that, and that was kind of why I was on him at TOC. And then I've been saying since December, Cam Smith at Masters, 37-1. Bet that now. And then the real kicker is that I bet him at Genesis, like just for shits and gigs, just because like I had an extra spot. And I was just like, Cam Smith, I like him. He's played well here. Short game, whatever. And then, but the good thing about having a podcast is that you can hear and go back to what you thought about him. So when I talked about Cam Smith, I said, look, Cam Smith, I love him. Like he's a great, like I love him. One of my favorite golfers, but I just don't see him winning the players. Like he just didn't fit that player profile for me. But at the end of the day, when you get everything up and down and when you make every single 10-footer, it doesn't matter if you drive it into the trees or you just have a bad day off the tee because he just made every single putt, everything he looked at. It was very TOC-esque.
Well, that's the thing. He really didn't play that well, at least through Sunday, we'll say. And he was in there and then just went low on Monday. So it's really tough in the really strong fields because some of the fringe plays are just barely not noticeable in a sense. Like Cameron Smith doesn't pop, and it's really difficult for you to like dig into him when he doesn't necessarily pop. Price-wise, again, from a DFS perspective, price-wise, you get to a guy that's in the 8Ks. It's like, yeah, he shouldn't be that cheap. I'm going to look into him. Cameron Smith was right on the edge. Like he was above Berger. Didn't really make sense. You just kind of overlook him. So happy for him. I was surprised. I saw a stat. 7 Australians have won the Players Championship, I think, something like that. I want to say 7. I could be wrong, but it was a shit ton.
Yeah, that was the narrative because, in my opinion, it's like players, like you got to keep it in the fairway. Like it's like a lot of tight fairways. I tweeted it out. I said, look, it doesn't work like this. I'm not saying it works like this, but Kapalua and Players and Sawgrass, could they be more different courses? Like genuinely, I do not think they could be more different courses. You have massive fairways, massive greens at TOC. You have the complete opposite there. That winning score, minus 33. He won like minus 13. Like, But again, when you're that talented of a player and you just kind of get hot on Sunday, it's very easy to win. So I just burned my Masters future. It doesn't matter. I got a 37-1 on him. He's not winning the Masters. He'll win it in the next 5 years. Like I've always said, Cam Smith, next 5 years, he'll win a Masters. It won't be this year, but I was happy for him. And man, just say it every week. The amount of things it took for it to not go into a playoff is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like 9 times out of 10, he makes par on 17. Like he just pushed it into the perfect spot.
Fowler did the same thing when he won.
That,
Back in 2016 or whenever he won. But yeah, I don't know what it is with those guys. You think of all the holes, if anything, miss it left in the water. Instead, you're going to hit it 3 feet right of the hole.
Yeah, he still took an aggressive line. Like, you're a very good golfer. Like, when you saw him hit that, did you think that was kind of a push? Because I know
absolutely.
he said it. But
there's
how?
no
like,
way. There's no way.
Like, he just wasn't going for it.
Well,
like,
you can tell, though, what the tell is, if you watch him as he comes down, his eyes get big. And you can see the, oh, fuck, on his face. So that's the tell. But, yeah, I mean, anything right of the hole is not intentional. Some guys draw it. So I saw some guys, I forget, it was Malnati or somebody hit some stupid hook out of the water. That's just his shot. But like you're leading by 3 or whatever at that point, nothing should go right at that hole. So when it got up in the air, you can see it on his face, just like, my God, this is not right. This is not good.
Yeah.
So
no, that you just kind of have to get lucky to win a tournament. Like
I do think he got unlucky on 18 though. I played CBC Sawgrass probably 4 or 5 times. I don't remember that hole being as fast of a fairway into the water.
Yeah.
I thought he hit a pretty good chip out, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that thing kept going. I feel like he kind of got screwed.
The funniest part was like he hit into the water and everyone's like, oh my God, it's going to go to a playoff. And then he hits that chip and everyone's like, what a chip. It's like, were you watching
all day
the final round? Like, what are you surprised about? Like Cam Smith straight up and down from 40 yards. Like he does that 10 times out of 10. Like he's just that talented. But I don't know what he's going to do with the money. Like he already said he had too much money. He just won like $3 million. I mean, these things are
crazy.
But I luckily had a decent week with my top 20. Sometimes I just get absolutely wiped in outrights in top 20s. If Sam Burns hits it on the green on 17, I probably win like 500 off my top 20s. Whatever, it's fine. It's a lot better to have a beat like that when you're up money. Than when you're down money. So it wasn't that bad of a week, but I'm glad to move on to the Valspar. Everyone was kind of beating the drum. Everyone's going to withdraw. This is going to look so much different. And it really hasn't. No elite guy other than Paul Casey has withdrew. So were you surprised a little bit about how there haven't been that many withdrawals?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we still have till tomorrow, but I assume, and I was thinking about this today, like at what point does Paul Casey like wake up and like, nah, fuck that. I'm not going down to Tampa to play Copperhead. Like you had a grind for the last 7 days and you wake up on Monday or Tuesday morning and then you're going to withdraw. What's these other guys doing? Like they're obviously traveling, so they got to be coming down here. So I don't know how it really works on the PGA Tour for those withdrawals for like the top guys. Like I picture JT. Like, is he in Jupiter already and he just hasn't made the phone call to withdraw? Like, I don't know. Yeah. I haven't looked at photos on the golf course, but yeah, I'm very surprised. I thought there would be more guys that would kind of hop off this week. Because they have if you think about the schedule, next week's the WGC match play. Yep. So in
everyone's playing, really. Everyone's
playing, yeah. So in theory, if you play well, you're going to play like 8 rounds of golf, which is a shit ton. And then you got the Masters right around the corner. So if you take a playbook you take a page out of Hideki's playbook, you want to be rested up for the Masters, apparently. Next week, you should be rested up and then be prepared to play 7 or 8 rounds. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised that guys did the grind last week and are still in the field so far, but I don't know. I mean, this field is pretty strong. I was really surprised. I guess I didn't pay attention this weekend when they posted the field. I was like, they're just all not going to play. If they're all going to play, man, this is going to be a pretty awesome field.
You know, I'm looking forward to it, and I think the field is pretty good. And I think that the thing that you just talked about is that JT Hovland and Colin, they're not winning the Masters. They're not going to go this event, match play, not Valero. They can't win the Masters. So that's a lot of golf. So easy. Yeah. I'm developing my Masters narrative, kind of, and none of those people are playing. But the Copperhead course, one of the harder courses on tour, par 71, 7,300 yards. The big thing I'm really looking at this week, and I think it checks out when you look at the people that have played well, is that long iron play is just so unbelievably important. This week, you're just going to have so many approach shots from over 175 yards and even over 200 yards. These par threes are really long. And, there's a lot of podcasts that go into, exact details and, stats and stuff like that. This isn't always check out Andy Lack's Inside Golf podcast, but you got to work it both ways off the tee. And it kind of forces you to club down a little bit. And that's, again, why you see some of these longer approach shots in. So what kind of stats and what type of things are you looking at for golfers this week to succeed at Valspar?
To be honest, it's really similar here at Valspar versus the last 3 weeks, to be completely honest. Certainly the Honda, and then last week, obviously with the weather's kind of funky. But if you look at even the leaderboard from last year and look at last week, you got Keegan Bradley, Victor Hovland, you have Abraham Answer, Max Homa had a good week, Usti, your boys there, Joaquin Neiman had a good start. So it's a lot of the same details off the tee. Like you said, you're going to be laying back to 275 or so on a lot of holes. And I've played Copperhead quite a bit. I think it's one of the best golf courses in Florida in terms of like you get rewarded for good shots. Like you have to position your tee shots well and then have to have a really good second shot to get on the green because the greens are actually pretty tough. So the green and regulation rate is really important this week. But I really do think the same stuff you looked at the last couple weeks is going to fit perfectly here outside of whatever you want to do with Saturday's round for guys that played in that shit. But yeah, I mean, like you said, driver distance is not important. A lot of layups off the tee. Guys are going to, hit 3-wood irons on a lot of holes. I think I estimated there's really like 2 holes where you have to hit driver, or you don't even have to hit driver, but they probably hit driver. Some of the par 5s, they lay up with 3-woods.
Yep.
To be completely honest, because the way the holes are pretty narrow and they dogleg. So a lot of guys will hit 3-wood and they'll stop short of the dogleg and they'll just play it as a 3-shot hole. So it's a really it's a good golf course, but it's kind of funky in that regard. So to me, I'm just going to keep it simple as the same couple weeks back. Accuracy off the tee is important. Green and regulation is important, and go from there.
Yeah, and I think that's really great to hear, and I'm glad that you have experience playing the course and you get a fit for it. But I think Florida golf's a lot of the same, and that's why a lot of the people that I'm betting, I'm just like, I've been on you for the last 2 weeks, and you've been playing well in a similar, difficult Florida course. With a lot of long approach shots, it's like, why hop off now? So let's get into the board. $10,000 range. Top of the board, we got DJ, Xander, Colin, Victor, and JT. I'm not betting any of these guys, and I'm kind of under the impression recently more and more that it's not worth it for me to bet somebody under 20-1 because they just don't hit at the clip you need them to. And the thing is, you have to front so much money. I like to win $1,200 on outrights. I'm betting every single outright to win $1,200. But when you get to below 21, you just have to front so much money. And you know what? If the favorite of the golf tournament was winning every 3 weeks or every 2 weeks, I would think about it, but it just hasn't been happening. So from a betting perspective, I want nothing to do with anyone 20-1. But from a DFS perspective, if I'm starting my lineups, how can you not start it with Victor Hovland? I don't see any reason as to why he cannot succeed at this course. He's excellent with his long irons and has been playing really, really good in difficult conditions. And, everyone wants to talk about the around the green game. And, granted, it's not great, but he doesn't need it to top 5, and he's shown it. So I like starting my lineups with him. I'm not sure where the ownership will be, but where are you thinking at the top of the board this week?
Yeah, I actually like Hovland quite a bit. It's funny with a little bit of course history. You can see, Hovland played well here last year. And to your point, talking about just kind of circling back on Cam Smith, some of these elite guys, it doesn't matter if it's a bomber's track or this short kind of quirky track. We've seen DJ at RBC Heritage play well, hitting irons off a lot of tees. Victor Hovland's one of the longest guys on tour, JT as well. They played really well in the past. So I think Victor Hovland's probably the lean. Didn't see enough from Colin Morikawa, but again, it's really tough to kind of gauge how some of those guys played in that wave on Saturday. But for me, the other guys I really don't want to touch. Xander, I don't have a lot of interest in. JT's probably, I wouldn't say too expensive, but Victor Hovland's playing well, and I feel like he's kind of got a chip on his shoulder off the last week. Yeah, I was following very closely because he was one of the guys in the 6K roster on Monday. And when he chipped it on, I want to say 12. I think it was 12. He hit it just short of the green and like off his drive, had a chip in. You get up and down for birdie, and he chips it over the green, ends up making bogey. And like I feel like he's got to be itching to capture a win because he's been right there for the last 2 months, really. So Victor Hovland, I'm with you there. The other guys, I don't have a problem with DJ. I think he'll get a little bit extra ownership off of his Sunday round, Monday round, but I think Hovland's the safest one up here.
Yeah, no, definitely. And any stat you look at, Hovland is just going to be good at. First, last 24 rounds, first in off the tee, first in approach, second in proximity from 200 plus, second in par 5 scoring, fifth in good drives gained. Like, I just don't know what more you could want. My only cause for concern a little bit is that this kind of happened with Cantley, and I was a victim to it. It's like Cantley played really well at a bunch of events in a row, and then he got to Genesis, which was naturally a good landing spot. It's in California. He's played well there before. I didn't really play well because, maybe you could chalk it up to him being a little bit worn out. So I worry about that with Hovland this week, but I'm going to go there to start my DK lineups. Will not be betting him outright, but
I don't see him getting tired either. Like, yeah, JT shouldn't get tired, but I could kind of see him being a pansy after like a long week because he's made plenty of money. Victor Hovland's made plenty of money, but I feel like he actually enjoys just fucking playing golf. So the other stat that I'll throw out there really quick for Hovland. So I ran a special stat for us for holes where the field average driving distance was under 280. He beats the field by 11% on driving accuracy, so he hits 11% more fairways, and then 14% green and regulation rate goes up. So on those holes where, again, he's a bomber, so like you could say the same thing for him being good fit on Aaron Hills or something. But on this golf course, he actually fits the bill better than anybody over 9K, based on what I ran for holes where driving distance was under 280 for the field. So I think he'll see a lot of that this week, and I think that's a good sign for, again, green regulation is going to be big, but driving accuracy, let's see some guys that can lay up, methodically, get it in play. Don't do stupid stuff.
So Drew is the founder of Fantasy Golf Bag, and I did a few best ball leagues. How are your teams looking to start the year? It's an absolutely amazing website. Go check it out. It's really great. How are your teams doing to start the year?
They've been sluggish. I think I've had too much Bryson to completely honest. I'd have to pull it up and see. I don't have anybody. Let's see. I'm profiting $20 right now, so I'm in for $134, and I'm making 156 currently. But a lot can change. I mean, again, it's best ball, so a lot can change every week. Just off of this past week, when we get the Cameron Smith added in there, he's going to jump past Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler's been crushing everybody, and all of a sudden now the Cameron Smith teams have been lagging behind off of really nothing because it didn't start at the TOC. It started at Sony. So Cameron Smith teams are about to go to the moon.
Got it.
So hopefully I have enough. We'll see.
So as we move into this next range, 20-1 and above 9K range, like I really got to talk about Louis for a second.
Please.
And like, this is the thing. I think this is a perfect course for him. And I think that when you look at Paul Casey going back-to-back and Louis having some of the best course history, that checks out because those are some of the best major players over the past 8 years. And Louis doesn't finish top 3 at Torrey Pines and the Ocean course if he's not good from 200 plus. Like those are just too long of courses. So it makes perfect sense that both of these players have excelled here. They're both really good in majors, good at avoiding bogeys. Louis, 24-1. Yeah, it's tempting, but I can't bet somebody that I legitimately do not believe has the stones to win a golf tournament on Sunday. Like I've given up. He can't win. Like
he does with a 4-shot lead. He can with a 4-shot lead on Sunday. That's
sure.
It. He can't grind it out.
And I have to be honest with everybody because I'm an honest person. Like I'll throw $25. I'll throw like $25. I won't I'll do like half of what I normally like to win on an outright on Louis, just because I can't not be there if he does win. But he won't. He absolutely won't win. And I would love to bet him top 20, top 10. The numbers just aren't good. I'm gonna need. And he hasn't been catching those like recently. And I think that what do you think his ownership is going to be this week? Because I just think if you look at course history, he's going to be very popular. But again, he's burned a lot of people recently. So I think that might keep people off him. Where do you see his ownership coming in about?
I don't think Louis gets a lot of ownership. I think he gets a lot of talk for the same reasons that you're talking about. He's a very good grinder. I listened to your podcast for the Honda, and I think the same principles apply. Where the scoring is not going to be 24 under par, the winning score is not going to be 24 under par. He can hang around 8 to 10 under par. That's his game. Like honestly, in majors, that's really his bread and butter because he knows that par is a good score. This golf course is really similar to that. So I don't know if his ownership will get up, but I'm sure people will talk about him. He doesn't project well, which is another part of the ownership kind of angle. But he's a very solid play anytime he tees it up.
Yeah.
And he's never over 10K. So I mean, he's always a solid play. But he's not he gets talked up, which is fine, but he doesn't get owned.
Yeah. So who are you playing in the nines this week? Are you betting anyone in this range, kind of the 20 to 40 range? And who are you playing in DraftKings?
Yeah, so Shane Lowry stands out quite a bit again. Yeah. I think he obviously stood out probably for everybody last week, but we only had 4 rounds if we count this year back at the Honda. He played pretty well in the European Tour. But adding in the rounds from last week, I mean, he's one of the best in the field, one of the best over 9K this week. Tyrrell Hatton, I don't have a lot of interest in. Louis Oosthuizen, like you said, is fine. And then at the bottom range, I don't have a lot of interest outside of Answer, to be fair. Fitzpatrick, I think, burned people, so that might be an interesting bounce back spot. But yeah, if I wanted to bet anybody, it would be Lowry. I think this is a good comp for Lowry. If we like I said, the golf course profile of Copperhead versus last week with the driving distance around 275, the same with the Honda, get it in play off the tee. Shane Lowry does really well. I think this is one of those spots where he can maybe bounce back and capture a win when we've kind of been on him a little bit. And maybe it's like the Cam Smith deal. When he wins on Sunday, everyone's like, oh, yeah, it's so obvious. And not as many people are on him. So I do like Shane Lowry quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I haven't been this excited about an outright bet in a really long time because my friends at the Golf Betting Tips, so they track everyone's tips, and he isn't on the most tipped chart, which usually the people I really like and people I'm really excited to bet outright are very highly tipped. And, that checks out. Everyone's looking at the same things and the same reasons. But I think that he's, catching a little break this week. But again, like we talked about, he's just been so stellar in Florida. Like, why would you give up now? Like, he almost won the Honda. Another very difficult event in Florida, a lot of long approaches. And then last week, if he didn't start slow, like he could have been right there with it. Obviously, that hole in one really projected him and
overall, he played really well.
He played really well. So over the past 24 rounds, he's 3rd in approach. I'm looking for in-form approach, like iron players in Florida, 7th in bogey avoidance, 14th in that proximity distance over 200 yards. Like, he's 3rd in my model. Like, he's just playing a lot of really great golf. So again, I'm betting more on Shane because, like, I really feel really good about this. And if he was the most tipped guy, I'd be like, all right, he's not going to fucking win. Like, whatever. But I think he's not really catching a lot of steam this week. So I'm hoping that it's a little bit lower. But I love Shane Lowry. Absolutely favorite play of the weekend. When we talk about kind of moving our DraftKings lineups into the 6K range, like, I'd rather start maybe some lineups in the 9s, starting with Lowry, going Lowry Kokrak or Lowry Answer as a way to differentiate myself. And obviously I'm going to want to play Hovland, but I think maybe a more balanced build starting with Lowry and Kokrak and Answer is a little bit of a build I'm going to do in DraftKings this week.
Yeah, I like the balance build. If I were going to start, so depending on how many lineups I build this week, if I was going to set a group, I would probably max out with 1 over 9K. So it would either, set me up to play Lowry and then play balance the rest of the way. Or if I play JT or Victor Hovland, I'm skipping the 9K range. Yeah. Even though we've seen a lot of like the stars do well here over the years, there's a lot of win equity that's like you basically remove if you play 2 of them. Because there's the odds of either of them finishing in the top 10 are probably small, but the bottom part of your lineup is going to be pretty critical. It's this week shouldn't be as bad as the last 2 in terms of the cut sweat, but I would much rather go the balanced route in terms of making sure I don't get overexposed in the 6K range.
Definitely. And the next guy I'm betting in this range, so I got a 40-1 with the top 6 each way on Bet Rivers. I suggest go playing that. Is Jason Kokrak. I know he's very popular this week, but you look at the course history and it's just so good. Almost won here in 2019, has an 8th place finish and a 13th to go along with it. Is Kokrak going to win 4 times in a short amount of time? I don't really know, but I just think 40-1 is a pretty good number. And with the each way, he battles and he plays well. I like that. And he tends Colonial, Houston, those are like hard club down, long approach courses. Like he's not going to win an event. I know he won the CJ Cup, but that's not really his MO is winning an event, super low scoring. I like him in a more grinder event with a lot more difficult scoring conditions. And I think it's no wonder why he hasn't played really well here. So the recent form is okay, but he hasn't missed a cut since his win at Houston, but no super high finish, but he's still putting well. I think he gets a little bit back off the tee. And so I'm in on Kokrak at 40-1. And, it's early in the week. It's a weird week. Those are the only 2 guys I've bet. So far my card's kind of open. I have a 30-1 and a 40-1, and I can kind of go in either direction. So I'm going to try and wait up a little bit and just see what I kind of want to bet. But as we move down a little bit, Fitzpatrick, what do you do with a guy in DraftKings when he's the highest owned guy? He was the highest owned guy last week, 24%, and he goes out and misses the cut. There just has to be an ownership discount on him the following week. Do you think he's a good pivot this week?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wasn't on him last week for the ownership reasons. So the big thing with me, so from a DFS perspective, when you talk about 24 or 25% owned, and I think that's where he clocked in at in the Millie Maker, that's literally like 30,000 lineups. So it's 30,000 people that have him right off the bat. So if you play him, you're already trying to cut the next 5 guys with 30,000 people. So it doesn't make any sense to play that. Especially in a really strong field. Now, if he was the favorite and, it was an Asian Tour event, sure, you play 30% owned Matthew Fitzpatrick. But yeah, this week, hopefully this is like the perfect storm. He's super popular last week. He misses the cut. He gets a price decrease. Hopefully people kind of jump off a little bit. They got burned. They immediately don't go back to him. You play him. It should be a pretty good course fit. Honestly, he plays better on longer golf courses. But again, from an ownership perspective, this is a spot where you would jump right back. At least for me. Again, I faded him for the most part last week. I'm more apt to jump back on to guys I faded and they burned other people. Maybe it's more of just like a sinister greed thing. I don't know. But yeah, this should be a good spot where you get an ownership discount.
Yeah, and I think the lower 8K range, like kind of this like 50 to 60-1 range, is like very interesting because there's a lot of compelling cases for a lot of people. So you have Bubba, who's been fantastic here, leads in strokes gained on this course. You have Noren, who I think is a very popular play for good reason. He's been playing some really excellent golf dating back to the Waste Management. Approach has been really great, hasn't been putting great. Gary Woodland, past winner here. Almost won API. Like he checks a lot of boxes for a lot of people. Sobel's on him. I know that's a curse. I'm not betting him because I believe in it and he's not going to win. But I mean, 70-1 on Gary Woodland, like it's not a big investment. I don't really fault it. I think it makes a lot of sense. He's a past champ in good form. Like those always kind of check out and are very popular plays.
Yeah. And I like, as long as the ball striking stats check out, which we run a proximity stat called Super Prox, and like for me, like Russell Knox is going to be my MO all year. So from like 125 to 150, he should have about 23% of his approaches, and he's averaging 27 feet. From 150 to 175, he's going to have another 23% of his approaches per round, and he's averaging 29 feet. I mean, he's been basically checking this box every week. He almost kind of got it done last week, or Monday. He kind of made a little run there to start his round, but I think Russell Knox at 8,100. This is a perfect fit for him. No issue with Gary Woodland. The other guys that really kind of stand out: Gary Woodland, Keegan Bradley, obviously off last week and the recent form, the course history. But the problem with Keegan Bradley is it seems like he grinded really hard Sunday for that win. He might be a little bit letdown. So I'm a little bit hesitant to go back to Keegan, even though I'm sure stats will check out for most people. Course history checks out, recent form checks out, etc. But if you think about it from a golf perspective, he was really he was engaged on Monday.
Yeah, that was fun to watch.
It was really fun. I was rooting for him, to be honest. I like Keegan Bradley. But yeah, I think this might be one of those spots where you kind of take a break. So I'm a little bit off of Keegan Bradley this week.
So what about like I'm not kidding. If you're listening to this, go into your local sports book, go on DraftKings, go to your local, and you go to first round leader and you throw $20 on Keegan first round leader at the Valspar. Like
I saw the stat. Yes.
It is
thank you for reminding me. Yes.
It is so ridiculous. He was first round leader here last year. He was first round leader in like a few years ago, and then he went on to miss the cut. And he's always had a super high finish in round one here.
Yeah.
He loves this course and he's playing well. Like this will be the biggest community first round leader win ever. I will be on it. Everyone should be on it because there's a good chance that it does come into fruition. But this event was in May last year, and this was kind of where I started in the golf betting space. Like I think at the Match Play Master, I started posting my card a little bit, and then at the Valspar, I don't know what the fuck it was, but I was just like Keegan Bradley plus 700 for a top 10, slammed this. This is a great play, and it hit, and I got Valspar. Easy. These kind of events were kind of where I kind of started, so I'm a little sentimental, but Keegan outright, no, he's not winning. He doesn't win. But first round leader, absolutely play it 1000%. So I wrote Cam Tringali in my DFS article for this week. And I don't love it. I don't absolutely love it, but I think it's a squeamish ownership play that could turn out very well. So the reason I like Tringali is that one, third place finish here last year, so he obviously can play well on this course, but I really like playing Tringali in really difficult conditions. Second at Zozo, tough event. Seventh at Houston, very tough event. Third at Farmers, again, another tough event. So off two missed cuts, I just think that the ownership will be a little bit lower. And I think saw some crazy outright numbers, 125 to 1. I don't know if he can win. I don't know. And again, usually I have my card completely done. I'm telling people I'm betting this, I'm betting that. I'm not done with, I don't know who I'm really betting. I have two guys. That's really all I'm kind of looking at. But Adam Hadwin is probably going to be chalk of the week. He's got to be over 18% owned, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Do you think that would be good chalk? Do you think it's worth it to play him? I mean, again, the winning formula, not a winning formula, but a popular formula and a formula that makes sense is a past champ with good course history off a really good finish. That's Adam Hadwin to a T this week.
Yeah. Hadwin came up for me last week. He was someone that was popping for 3 weeks in a row on a lot of our data. And it's funny when you get into a strong field, some of these guys just kind of fall beneath the surface and you don't really look at him. And he showed up again. So I think 18% is a little bit steep, but again, you're not looking at 115,000 people in a contest. So I would be willing to play Adam Hadwin and match the field. I'm not scared of that. I think in that range, that's the other problem. I really do like Russell Knox at 8,100. He's just a couple $100 more expensive. Kisner kind of fits the mold as well. But outside of that, there's really not a lot of guys. I'm not a big Aaron Wise guy. People will certainly play him again this week. They've been playing him all year. Brian Harmon has not done well here. I think he has 3 missed cuts in his last 5 years. Vegas is probably okay, but Redmond, Taylor, Pan, Schwab, there's nobody. And again, I'm jumping down off of my list. But there's nobody really that sticks out in this mid to high 7K range. Hadwin's probably going to be a guy that is just part of the chalk that I have to eat.
Yeah, so I'm trying to, kind of build my $100, $200 single entry, and I'm liking a Lowry, Kokrak, Noren, Hadwin, leaving me with $7,200, and then I don't know. I don't know. I like Laird. I like
Yeah, Laird does
Like-
check out pretty good this
Like
week.
Laird really checks out. He has a crazy outright number, but a lot of the stats I'm looking at, like he just fits out really well. I think he's like pretty high in my model. Yeah, he's 11th in my model. Again, my model is not, I'm not a model guy, whatever. But he's third in proximity from 200 plus, first in good drives gained, 13th in approach. Like those are a lot of kind of boxes to check for me at $7,200 and over 100 to 1. Added to the outright card, he's on it. Best number I could get, I'm not sure. But Martin Laird, outright, and in DraftKings, I really like that. And I haven't been doing great in my $100 single entry, $200. Do you think I should change it up and maybe kind of go a 150 max, same investment? But I don't know. I don't want to give up because I've played it every single week. And the 1 week I don't want to play it, and then I have a good lineup, I would be very upset.
You're talking about like the 222 they have right now?
Yeah, like playing that and then like the $100 single entry.
No, hand building is a really good way to go. I think people underestimate if you go to the 150 max, it's a fucking job to make sure your exposures are right. So yeah, hand building I would definitely prefer for most people. And for you, I would say if you're hand building and you've been doing pretty well, you stick to that. Obviously, you're going to be hand selecting guys. Chalk isn't necessarily like the forefront of your mind. In MME, it is. Because like if you're going to play 100 lineups and it's 30% Cam or Matthew Fitzpatrick, yeah, you got to take some stands. You can't just, I'm going to play 50% Matthew Fitzpatrick this week with my 100 lineups. It's not going to do much with 115,000 people. But yeah, with a single entry like that, that's a perfect opportunity. You play a little bit of chalk. You can pivot a little bit. Like Martin Laird's not going to be popular.
Yeah.
I see a lot of the same stuff you do. I'm using different proximity numbers. So for us, we're looking at 150 to 175, and we have another percentage for 175 to 200 that's scaled. And he is like top 20 in the field in both ranges from 150 to 200 yards. So it's interesting to see that. And the other thing too is I think driving accuracy is thrown out the window a little bit this week.
Okay.
His driving accuracy number looks pretty good. But I don't think it really matters just because you're not hitting driver. And so I try to do some weighted stuff with driver distances for guys. But for the most part, proximity is key for me. And I think I'm right with you with Martin Laird. So I might just have to – I'm skeptical. So some of these guys that show up from time to time, you're always a little bit hesitant. Like, well, he hasn't – you haven't seen his face for a top 10 in a year or 2 years. So maybe now that you mentioned his name, I'll have to play him a little bit more this week.
Yeah,
I've been hesitant since Bay Hill.
I'm looking at this lineup, $100 left. So I think I'm going to enter this, honestly. I'm pretty comfortable with this. And the last guy I want to get your take on and we could talk about. But Shane Lowry, Kokrak, Noren, Hadwin, Laird, Svensson. So what do you think about Svensson? Because
I do like Svensson.
Svensson at Honda was very, very popular. And people were like, why is his ownership 15%? He was like $500. And he showed up and he couldn't putt, but he's a tee to green machine. And his approach numbers are really great. And he's great off the tee. He just couldn't buy a putt. Had the week off last week. Like, again, we're talking about these similar courses. We're talking about Florida. Like, I think he kind of fits that build of someone that's has a good result in Florida and could perform well here. So do you like Svensson this week?
Yeah, I do like Svensson this week. Similar to what I mentioned earlier for Victor Hovland. He actually on holes, and again, a lot of this is Honda Classic stuff, but holes where the field average driving distance is under 280, which is what you're going to see a lot this week for most of the par fours and par fives even. He's gaining on the field in both green regulation and driving accuracy. So those two things for me, if you're hitting in the fairway, that's step one. Hitting at more greens and regulation in the field, that's step two. And he's doing both of those. So putting aside, I don't really care. This isn't going to be a 20 under par winning score. Yeah. So, if he shoots 6 under par, that's pretty good. I don't see that out of the question at all. And that could be a top 10 pretty quickly, depending on the weather or how the course is set up. -10 isn't out of the question either. So yeah, I like Svensson quite a bit, especially at the price. I just think there's a lot of carryover to looking at guys that have played well the last couple weeks here in Florida. I think there's a lot of carryover for the golf courses and just Florida in general. So don't be afraid to lean a little bit more on, how did they play at the Honda or the Players or even Bay Hill for those guys that did, two or three of those events. I think that's actually a pretty good angle this week.
So, what are some of the guys you're looking at in the lower sevens, maybe high sixes that you were looking to roster and kind of round out your lineups? Any guys that are popping for you in this range?
Yeah, Sam Ryder is starting to pop, and I think it's more of just relative to the field strength down in this low range. It's funny how strong this field is up top compared to a normal Florida swing event, outside of like Bay Hill and Players, obviously. But Sam Ryder looks pretty good at 7K, so I'm good with that. Taylor Moore looks really good in our proximity numbers. The other couple guys, let's see. I'm not going to mention Mito. He grades out okay, but it's kind of like a boat losing water or gaining water, I guess. He's kind of he's barely staying afloat. And then in the 6K ranges, the guy that I want to go back to quite a bit, I'm curious your take. Kitayama, I feel is disgraced this week at 6,500. Obviously played really well at the Honda, so a lot of the data that I have is from just the Honda. But then he went to the Puerto Rico Open and he finished like 23rd, 28th. So he played pretty well back-to-back weeks. And again, to my point, this golf course is going to be a lot like the way the Honda sets up in terms of accuracy off the tee. You're not hitting a lot of drivers. You're just getting it in play, and then you're hitting a lot of good iron shots onto the green. I like Kitayama, especially at the price. I mean, 6,500 is a joke.
Yeah, no, I love it. And someone just said, also, I think for some leeway, Kurt Kitayama has been decently lately. No one is going to play him at decent in Puerto Rico. He was all over it. You read his mind. I was kind of looking at like a rolling like report. I'm like, Kurt up here? Okay, I'm fine with that. I have no problem with that. And
I thought I messed up my sheet when I saw 6,500. I was like, fuck, I forgot to pull down my formulas or something. And then, no, he's really 6,500. Like, no, that can't be right. Yeah, it is. It's down here with Nate Lashley and Tyler Duncan. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that is absolutely a misprice. And I think that if, he went out and went miscut at Puerto Rico, I think it's a different story. But he's obviously found something in his game. And it's 6,500. I like that. I'm taking that. I'm tailing you on that. I'm playing it. So we're talking about misprices in the 6K. And I tweeted this out earlier. I don't know if you saw it.
I might have missed it. I'm sorry.
But okay. Why is Martin Laird min price at $6,000? Like
Martin Laird? Who?
No. Martin Trainer.
Okay.
Why is Martin Trainer min price at 6K? Okay. All right. The joke with Martin Trainer is that he misses every single cut, that he won the Puerto Rico Open and that he missed every single cut. And then we go to Houston, another tough Bermuda track, and he's first round leader, and he's like in contention on Sunday. And everyone's like, where the fuck did this guy come from? Like, he misses every cut. Okay, he contended there. Another tough Bermuda track. Okay, all right. Yeah. And then I've been kind of keeping an eye on him because I like live bet him at 40-1 that week. And I was like, it's not about the money. It's about like the principle. Like when you get a guy in the lead at 40-1, like you bet him. Okay. And then he made the cut at Waste Management. And then he made the cut at Honda. Like, yeah, he's playing decent. And then the real reason I even thought about it is because I went on my local and he was 1,000-1 to win. Not 100-1, 1,000-1 to win, 10 to win 10 grand. He is 33-1 for a top 20 and 66-1 for a top 10. Egregious. I'm putting my reputation on the line this week. Martin Trainer will make the cut at the Valspar. Reputation on the line on a min price Martin Trainer. And I couldn't be more excited about it.
You'll be solo on this show. I'm sorry.
I
don't hate the take. And obviously 1,000-1, you bet anything 1,000-1. Anything should be 1,000-1. You bet it, obviously. But it's not far fetched. I don't think he's doing it in the right categories where there's upside past the made cut. So
he's just putting unbelievable. But
yes.
he's not going to be in my $200 single entry.
That's good. That's a step.
That's fine. Like, I'm okay with that. But, I think a Hovland Trainer build, like, right off the bat, like, I mean, he's going to be less than 1% owned. Again, reputation.
You'll be the only guy. So I don't know how the percentages
Yeah.
work, but you'll be the one guy out of however many people. So
Like,
whatever that percentage is, yes, that's it.
but he should not be the same price as fucking Alex Fitzpatrick and like these other like Omar Utesti. Like that is ridiculous.
Do you want a side bet? I'll take Alex Fitzpatrick against them this week.
All right,
I
side
don't
bet.
know.
We're on it. I'm fine with that.
I don't think Fitzpatrick is going to make the cut necessarily, but I would rather take his upside to make the cut based on what I've seen of him lately.
What could you possibly know about Alex Fitzpatrick? Like, what is his
he's one of like the top 3 amateurs in the world.
He's young.
Yeah, he's in college.
He's in college,
and he's Matthew Fitzpatrick's brother. But he's better than Matthew Fitzpatrick.
He's going to be.
He's going to be. Yes, he's going to.
Yeah,
be.
my thing with Matt Fitzpatrick, like I really liked him at Bay Hill and the top 10. Like he just like I know, like I said this, and someone's like, "Oh, that." I was like, I don't think he can make enough putts. He makes a lot of 10-footers for par, but that's not going to win an event unless it's like an open chance. It's not like an U.S. Open at fucking like Erin Hills or something. Like that doesn't.
No.
Yeah, he's great at saving par, but like the winning score this week isn't going to be -4. I would say it's going to be around 14 to 15 under. I don't think it will quite be Sam Burns, and I don't think it will quite be Paul Casey. Where do you see the low teens? You would say.
Yeah. I haven't looked at the weather forecast. I have no idea. After last week, weather forecast fucked everything up. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, low teens I think is a safe guess.
Yeah, and another thing that's giving me a little bit of hesitation. I think why this week's a little bit harder, and it's not always great to just look at what the winners did, but like on a lot of tournaments, you would have basically 2 more winners to look at recently to see what they did and who they are and the type of game they are.
Yeah.
But here, since you have Sam Burns winning, then you have a COVID year, so no winner, and then you have Casey winning twice.
Yeah.
Like at a normal event where there was no COVID, you have 2 more winners in there that are probably going to be different. So I think it's harder to get a gauge as to what type of player will win here. And then you have Hadland. But
I think talent just holds true. Like, so I'll just go back really quick to 2019, and maybe this is anecdotal in terms of like the leaderboard, but like Paul Casey finished first, and then Louis Oosthuizen second, Kokrak second, Bubba Watson, Sung J M, Dustin Johnson, John Rom, Ryan Armour, and Austin Cook. But that's fucked up. But you could get the idea. Like, it seems like the really good talent tends to play well here because it's not fluky in my mind. Like, I do like this golf course. So I'm not sure if any one particular game or one style of a player does really well here, but I do think the better players tend to excel. And I think it's just from a ball striking standpoint. That's why I think ball striking, and personally, I think ball striking gets overblown a tad bit where, you can't just rely on Keegan Bradley's ball striking. It can only carry you so far. But for the top guys, they're top guys for a reason, ball striking being the reason. So I do think that's why you see like a leaderboard that's usually like top guys, Casey or Sam Burns last year. And driving accuracy, like I said, is not that important. So we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see how it goes this week. And I think it should be a good week. And another thing about Sam Burns is that, like, if you say, oh, Sam Burns won a tournament, you're probably like, he just was excellent tee to green. And he like bombed it out. Like he didn't do that. He gained like 8 strokes putting. Like he won it with his putter, which like
a lot of tournaments are done that way, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but the trick though that I would look at is Sam Burns, and I don't think this is any like groundbreaking knowledge or anything, but like for the golf course itself, like Sam Burns' average driving distance last year was like 300 yards, 295 to 305, something like that. At this event, it was like 280.1 or something. Yeah. So obviously driver is not going to be the strength. So you can't look at that. But I don't think that kind of helps people in a certain respect because he's not the straightest guy. And it just comes down to green and regulation. I have a couple 6K guys if you want to.
Yeah, who are you thinking?
Some crazy ones. Yeah. So I think I've been kind of on Von Taylor this year. He has a good finish a couple years ago here, but as far as like the course fit, I really like his style of play in terms of very accurate off the tee. He's done well at the Honda, get it in play. Irons are pretty good. So like our proximity data checks out pretty well. And obviously he finished, I think T18 here in 2019. And shockingly enough, Sung Kang is at the top. He's at 6,800. I know some people have talked about Martin Keimer, at least to me. But Sung Kang's stats actually look pretty good of late. And he actually has a top 20 here. So Sung Kang might be another guy at 6,800. So it's like, for me, I'm more flexible as I go down in pricing. The top guys, I'm more strict on, like, okay, I can't really have leaks in certain guys' games. But like, as I go down, it's really looking for upside. And guys like a Sung Kang that's shown upside and the stats still look okay. Like Lee Hodges, I've played a couple times this year. He's kind of in the same ballpark. And then I mentioned Von Taylor and Kurt Kitayama. So like that's kind of how I view a field like this. As you go down to the 6K range, you got to be a little bit more lenient on, again, it's not betting, it's from a DFS perspective. You got to kind of got to take these guys and gamble a little bit. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think Von Taylor's getting a lot of love. I don't know about a lot of love, but I think he's a little bit popular. And he's
it just kind of makes sense. So
people,
yeah. I mean, the good thing about 6K guys is they're never over-owned. Yeah. I think one time in the last like 3 years, you had whatever that idiot's name was that was like 25% owned at 6.4K, and he missed the cut. But for the most part, 6Ks, I mean, there's literally like 60 guys from 7,500 down. So there's just never going to be just straight chalk. So it's easier for you to kind of pick out guys that just stand out to you and then play them, and you feel a little bit better about eating, 5, 8, 10% chalk.
Definitely. So we went through the board. I'm excited for a big DFS week, good betting week. So as we kind of get into major season a little bit, I want to get your picks for the majors. So who is winning the Masters this year? Who are you thinking?
Let's see. The Masters is tough, man. So like recency bias is a bitch. I don't know. I still really think Xander has a chance. Like I've been thinking Xander has a really good fit for Augusta, and he just hasn't been playing that well. But I would have to lean on Xander over picking like Scheffler or somebody that's just hot. So I think Xander is a good fit.
And I think Augusta. The thing with Xander is that what number do you think you could get on him? Because if he like misses the cut this week or something, like there's a good chance you could get like a 25-1 on him, which I think will be. I know I have a lot. My good friend Andy Lack, he loves Xander. I know a lot of people in the industry are like hoping that he doesn't play that well because they could get a good number at Augusta for him, and that seems to be the place he's most likely to win.
Yeah, I love him at Augusta. But a lot of the guys have a really good chance at Augusta. It's a lot easier to bet the top of the board at Augusta or any major, to be honest. But that's where I would think. I mean, you could always go like Cameron Smith. To your point, I do think he does win a Masters in the next 5 years. It just sets up really good. Short game is unbelievable. Hovland makes a lot of sense. So we'll see. I don't know anybody at the top of the board that I could think of besides Xander that's not like completely obvious.
So what are your thoughts about, I know you played him last week, what are your thoughts about John Rom at the moment? Because I'm not the biggest John Rom fan, and I think he's a little bit overrated a little bit. And I think everyone's fucking cock was hard last week to bet him at 14-1. And it's I don't know. It's just like and the fact that he had the good side of the draw and just did nothing of it. It's just like people are like I just want to get to a point where people are going to stop saying he's due for a win. He's trending for a win. He's going to get one soon, because I think once if he doesn't win the Masters, which he won't, then you can't say that anymore. Yeah. Like people are just going to be saying this for months and months and months, and he's not going to win. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I think so. In golf, I view a lot of guys as like underachievers and overachievers. So like, I'm a big Billy Ho hater. I played with him one time, and it was a very weird round of golf for my entire life. It was a turning point in my life. He's a big overachiever, in my opinion. Billy Ho is a big overachiever. I think John Rom's an underachiever at the moment.
Yep.
I think I don't know what his deal is. He obviously doesn't take fitness very seriously. I don't have anything good to say about him. I think from a DFS perspective, it makes sense when people hate on him and you start to play him at a.
Yeah.
In hindsight, last week didn't make sense because the top of the board was so strong. But I don't know. I'll probably end up playing him again at the Masters. But I'm not very impressed at the moment with John.
Yeah, it was like getting to a point where just like every single week, oh, he played really well, and then everyone just makes a million excuses for him, and then it just like now it's like, okay, now he really.
But I hate that people will say John Rom's not the guy anymore. He's not the same guy. You can't play him, and then he's 22% owned again.
Yeah,
you guys can't be fucking lying to me like this. Like, why am I playing him at
2 weeks? Everyone was just like, Bay Hill. Everyone's like, oh, people.
He's the highest price. You can't play him, and they played him, and then the player's the same deal.
Yeah, no, and like again, hindsight 2020. I'm not like it doesn't matter. Like hindsight 2020. I'm not like set, but I would think Rom at a super long, difficult course, like Pete Dye short plotters, like. Not the best fit for Rom. Like, I don't know that, but hindsight 2020, 100%. Like, obviously, it's easy to say.
But his irons have been good. So that was my thought process last week. Like, his irons have been good. It's the putter that's been bad. And last week was just all of a sudden everything was shit.
I'm at the fucking airport bar and he 3-putts from 19 feet. And I'm like, guys, Rom is lost on the green. Everyone's like, oh, no, he like gained all these strokes. I'm like, okay, like he hasn't been putting well. Like
he hasn't been putting well. Yeah.
Like the tee to green's gonna be insane, but he just I don't know what's up with the putter, but it's something. So I know you're a great golfer. I could not be more excited for my upcoming golf season. I got new irons and I have put more balls inside 10 feet than like I've ever done before.
What irons did you get?
I got the Callaway Mavericks. I was hitting like Callaway like X20s from like 2009.
Yeah.
And like I am breaking very, very, very unrealistic goal, but I really think I can break 80 if everything goes perfect. But I'm so excited for my game because I've been driving it fine as long as I don't have a big slice. And if I go to the range before, I feel like I don't slice it. And then if I'm driving it well and I have an 7 in, I feel like I can hit the green, and my long irons have been a lot better, and I've been chipping and putting bad, but those things come and go. Like I'm not going to be mad at are you more mad when you don't have a good ball striking round or when you don't putt well? Because
I don't give a shit anymore. Fuck, man.
What do you mean you don't care?
I don't give a shit anymore. Fuck. I drilled my head into the ground for like 10 years playing golf, college, juniors, professionally. And when I quit playing, I was like, I don't need to be like John Rom anymore and just get pissed off over bullshit. So yeah, I mean, if it was me, things come and go for sure. Personally, ball striking wise is very consistent. Ball striking is in golf swing stuff is very muscle memory. Like for me, it's really not a problem. And I don't mean to sound cocky in that sense. It's just, I've done it for fucking what? It's been like fucking 20 years now. 20. Yeah. It's literally been 20 years of playing golf. So like golf swing stuff is not a problem, but like short game stuff and putting is really frustrating. That really irks me. So that's what it give me. I have the same putter since 2007. I don't hate the putter. I just hate myself. But chipping and stuff like that is very frustrating when you play well and you fucking double from just short of the green or something like that. That drives me nuts. But yeah.
So personally, what was your college professional golf career? Like, you played in college, you played in high school, you tried to play professionally. Like, talk me through that. What did you do?
Yeah. So I played all 4 years in college. I went to Q school 3 years in a row and did not make it out of first stage. So like all the amateur stuff I played in, like I played in the Southern Am that was played here at Copperhead in 2011. So like Harris English won that. I played with JT. I played with Smiley Kaufman. I played 2 rounds with Brooks Koepka. I played with Ben on. Brooks Koepka was actually really nice at the time. He seems different now. And that might be because he makes a lot more money than all of us do. But yeah, I mean, I played with a lot of the guys that were top amateurs in the state and in the country at the time, and then I just couldn't get it going. And honestly, it sounds stupid, but like mini tour professional golf is such a mind fuck in terms of like you pay $600 or $1,000 and you're already losing before you even start playing. And then you fucking shoot like 38 or something on the front nine. And you're like, I already lost all my money this week. Like it's like to me, I really struggled. I could gamble with anybody. You play me 18 holes, 9 holes, whatever you want to play each side.
So you're a
for
match
some
play
reason,
guy.
as soon as I
Good,
throw a
good match
century
play
in,
guy.
match play, I enjoy match play. I never really had a great record in match play, to be honest, but I enjoy it. But in terms of like betting, like front nine, back nine, skins and stuff like that, that's not a problem. Shit, I played for a lot of money doing that. But like putting up $600 and you're like, I'm already down 600. I just have to win. Like I have to win to get my money back. Like that's kind of how mini tour golf is. So at a certain point, I just got tired of it and figured I'd play DFS, and that worked out better.
Yeah, no, I mean that's amazing.
But I mean, seriously, I had a pretty good college career, and
where did you play?
Professionally played well. I played at Southeastern University. It's down here in Florida.
Okay.
And like I said, I qualified for the second stage of the U.S. Open qualifier when I was in high school. So like I probably peaked in high school. And that's where I played with Billy Ho. And the dude was funny, but he was like kind of weird funny. Like he was doing some weird shit on the golf course.
Which hasn't changed, it seems.
It has not changed at all. He's just richer. But yeah, I have a lot of good memories of golf. I just, at this point in my career, I don't care so much when I play bad. I'm going to like this year, I'm going to try to play in the US Open again. I'll do the qualifying. But I don't have as much pressure as I did back then. So it makes it nicer. It was a shit show back then, man. It's such a fucking, when you don't, like you can have people that even back you and you always feel bad for losing money. So like if I was playing DFS and let's just say they had the $2,000 one last week and you're like, hey man, I want to stake you in the 2,000.
Yep.
Now I have some guilt if I don't win because I lost some of your money. And that's how professional golf is. Like, yeah, I can be, you obviously want to stake me because I'm decent, but as soon as I lose, now I feel bad and that makes it worse.
It's already really hard enough. It's already tough enough.
Yeah.
Like with the so
yeah, it really is. It's fucking tough, man. It's brutal. So if you make it, it's great. If you don't make it, you're just losing money every year.
So do you have like a greater appreciation for like the tours and like a guy that like comes up and like plays super well and makes it because you actually know what it was like versus like everyone on Twitter who like shoots in the 90s?
Kinda. I mean, everyone. I play with a lot of bad golfers and a lot of guys that are fun to play with and shoot 90. Like being fun to play with does not necessarily mean like you're good at golf, right? But like Sam Ryder, I played a lot of golf with Sam Ryder. We were about the same skill level through amateur golf into college, and he stuck with it past when I did. He went to the Canadian Tour, he qualified, he got to the Korn Ferry Tour, he got through it. Like kudos to him for making it. To me, I never had the vision of like waiting 10 years. I just felt like I was going to go broke and then be like a bum. And I didn't want to be a bum. So it was I either quit and get a job or I keep playing to be a bum, and he kept playing and became rich. So a lot of stories like that. But even, have you heard of Blaine Barber? Do you know who Blaine Barber is?
I don't know who that is.
So Blaine Barber, he's on the Korn Ferry Tour now, but in the state of Florida, he was better than Brooks. He was better than Daniel Berger. He was the number one guy in Florida through high school. He went to Auburn. He played great. He was probably one of the top college golfers. He can't even get on the PGA Tour right now. Like it's funny how guys come up from the amateur golf and are excellent, and they just can't make it. He was one of the guys like you would think he would win a major at some point. And now Brooks is the guy. Brooks was always pretty good. Daniel Berger was always pretty good. But like Blaine was better. And he can't even stay on the Korn Ferry Tour. So it's just tough. It's just tough when guys like get to a point and they believe in themselves. It's wild. I mean, Morikawa, not to just harp on this all night, but like Morikawa, he didn't win a single college event, I don't think. And now he got on the PGA Tour and he's the number one guy in the world. Like, how does that make sense? But some guys they get it to click and they just run with it. So kudos to them. I gave up a little bit too soon. Probably I regretfully gave up a little too soon, but
so you just like and enjoy a nice round to go out, like, shoot in the like low 70s, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so what are you, like a scratch now plus?
Yeah,
like,
I'm plus. I think it's like a plus 3.9 right now.
And
but
how often do you play? Do you just play
much. Like once every other week, probably.
Once every other week.
Yeah, during the summer I'll play more because tournaments start up. But like during the winter, it's the nice weather. I just been lazy. But yeah, during the summer we have U.S. Open qualifying, U.S. Amateur, U.S. Mid-Am, all the stuff. So I'll play in that.
All right, so
every week
on a completely different, because I'm someone, I shoot in the mid 90s. Like I've only broken 90 once, but in my new few rounds with the new irons, like I've shot in the low 90 a few times. So what advice would you give to me as someone that wants to shoot in the 80s more often and just be more consistent? Because I'm very happy with my golf game right now, but I just want to be in the 80s more. So what advice would you give to me to kind of do that and play in the 80s more and not be in the 90s?
I mean, number one is driver. I don't know how often you're hitting the fairways, but like that's step number one. I mean, most big scores are because you hit it out of
Yep.
bounds or hitting the
Yep.
hazard, stuff like that. So that's step number one. It's either you go to the driving range and work on it, or you go get fit and get a driver that you feel comfortable with. Whatever you have to do. Pick a shot shape. If it's a fade or a draw, whatever you do, I don't care. Like if you hit a 20-yard fade / slice, that's fine. Just play it. Don't fight it. That's step one. And then as long as you're not 3-putting, a couple times around, that's it. It's really, if you can get it in play off the tee, I mean, you can't really, it'd be really hard to shoot over 85 if you hit every fairway, we'll say.
Yeah.
Which shouldn't be that difficult on most golf courses.
Yeah, because I kind of had my realization last year, because the courses I play, they're 6,200 yards. They're shorter courses. And I just said, fuck it. I'm going to hit my 3 hybrid off every single tee. Yeah. And when my 3 hybrid gets going, I don't have a miss with it. It just goes straight. Yeah. And then my best rounds, it was like, I went out and I shot a 91, only hitting my hybrid. And I'm like, okay, maybe there's something to this, because I've always said, you cannot play good golf unless you're in position off the tee. If you're slicing every single ball, you're chipping out, you're playing for bogey at 100%. Best. Literally at best. If you're in the middle of the fairway, at worst, at least for me, even if I'm super far back, 7-iron, 6-irons close, chip up, 2-putt, and move on and make a bogey. And when you
the driver is undervalued. I mean, people always, they joke and say, it's driver show putt for dough. And I mean, if you're going to win a golf tournament, you got to putt pretty well. But if you don't get it in play, you're fucked off the get-go. So get it in play, get a driver that you like. I don't have a problem tinkering with a driver. I don't personally, because if I ever hit it bad, it's my own fault. At this point, I've hit the driver well enough. But if you're at a point where I hit my irons well, but my driver's not good, go get a new driver, get fit or something like that. And then short game's important, but for lowering your score below 90, in my opinion, it's driver and then irons. That's 100% what I would focus on. Short game, I don't care about, because if you're not getting there in 5 shots, it doesn't matter. If you're getting there in 5 shots, it doesn't matter. If you're getting there in two or 3 shots, now work on your short game. But get it in, play off the tee, and then work on your iron. That's it.
Yeah, no, I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, I like to go to the range before I play. But if I don't, for whatever reason, my first tee ball usually tends to be a slice. If it's my first real swing of the day, for whatever reason, it's a slice. So if I'm getting even a few driver swings, a few iron swings, I just tend to play better. And if I'm driving it well, I'm just very confident in my ability to shoot in the 80s more, just because I'm in the fairway. And my biggest struggle with my old irons was that I just never even tried to hit my 5 or 6 iron, because I didn't hit those clubs well. But now this new set, I can hit my 6 iron 175, 180. I can hit my 5 iron 180 if I hit it good. So that's where I struggled, is in my long irons. I wasn't great. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to hit my 7-iron 160 and chip up. But now I have a lot more confidence in my long irons, and that helps me on par 5s, on longer par 4s. And it frees me up to play more difficult courses and be able to score
par
better.
Fives and stuff.
Yeah. Because I'm never, ever, ever, ever in a par 5 on 2. I just really struggle with my long iron game. But if I'm playing courses under 74.
Long irons are tough anyway, so I wouldn't beat yourself up over long irons. But I would say if you had a lot of long irons into holes, then you're probably playing the wrong tees. And I don't want to say that to you, but just in general for most people, if you're hitting a lot of long irons, then something's wrong. But I mean, if you're mid irons, if you're hitting a few bad long irons, that's not a big deal to me.
Yeah.
But you're going to lose way more shots from hitting in the trees or out of bounds or in a bunker or in the water.
Absolutely.
Off the tee. So.
So, Drew, absolutely amazing pod. I really appreciate it. I'm glad we could talk about the board. I'm glad we could talk about your golf career, my amateur, just trying to break 90 career. But you're a great
If you
guy.
come down to
and
Florida, let me know.
yeah,
We'll
no,
play golf.
I have family in West Palm and
Okay.
like Ballin Isles, so we'll have to get around and play a tournament and play some event, and you could give me a stroke a hole, maybe 2 strokes a hole, and it will be a good fun. So I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate everyone who checked out the pod. It was really a great one, and I really appreciate your insight, and I'm glad we were able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. Thank you, man.
All right, everyone have a good night.